Sometimes it could be something really small that snowballs into a big situation, and you're wondering, how did we even get here?
I felt disrespected when you said all of that in front of the family.
You are being too sensitive. It's not that big of a deal.
Where is this coming from?
I'm sorry you got your feelings hurt.
I don't want to fight. I'm going to walk away. Nothing is solved. Can we work on repairing this relationship?
If the relationship can actually be repaired.
Well, first I want to start with acknowledging the actual people we're talking about here. We're talking about someone that you develop a strong relationship with, whether it's your sibling that you grew up together, whether it's a close friend that's like a sister, like a brother, because those are the people that know you in and out. Those are the people you know them in and out. You've shared your deepest thoughts, secrets, and all the things that you hold dear to that you probably wouldn't share with anyone else. I'm saying that because these are the relationships that you want to protect. These are the relationships that when there's something going wrong, you feel it. I know some of you listeners out there can probably sense what I'm talking about right now.
I have a story for you, a set of friends, or two ladies, Samantha and
Mhm.
Vicky. Samantha and Vicky have known each other for years. They could be sisters or cousins or close friends. The kind of relationship with history and trust. So they joke with each other, they tease, they talk about personal things that stay between just the two of them. But one of those private conversations has always been about health and weight, which is,
Ooh. Yeah, you don't talk about that.
we don't
Yeah,
talk about weight. We don't, at least I
right.
don't. But it's never felt unsafe with them until this moment. They're at a family gathering, big table, food is everywhere, everyone talking all at once. And then Samantha feels relaxed and she's not guarded. She's reaching for another dinner roll. And I know we've all been there, especially those Texas Roadhouse dinner rolls. Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
oh my goodness. And she reaches for another dinner roll without thinking. And Vicky,
Okay.
she's laughing, ha 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 ha, and says out loud and loud enough for everyone to hear, Sam, are you sure you want another one of those rolls? I thought you was trying to lose weight.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. She put
Okay.
on
All
blast
right.
to everybody.
I know Sam is feeling that. So what happens? What happens next?
Samantha laughs it off a little bit. But inside she's feeling some kind of way.
It
It's
hit her
not
wrong.
Yeah, it's not really the comment itself, it's that something private just became public. And she suddenly feel
Okay.
exposed, aware of her body, she's aware of the room, and she starts to quietly pull back. So later Vicky replays the
Okay.
moment and she noticed Samantha is extremely quiet. And a thought crossed her mind, like, did I embarrass her? And then Vicky's like, well, if it was a problem, she would have said something. So the next day
Okay.
Samantha sends a text and says, well, why would you say that in front of everyone? And she feels blindsided. Well, we joke like this all the time. And Samantha responds, well, that was personal and you know that. And now Vicky is
Okay.
feeling defensive. And she says, Samantha, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. And I think you're taking this too seriously. And then just like that, the conversation is just shut down. And
So
days
so she
pass.
not she not just Sam at this time. She's like, Samantha, you are just being too
Samantha,
sensitive.
you are being too sensitive. It's not that big of a
Okay.
deal. So now we have two people who care about each other, but there's a ton of tension and they're not talking. So what are you seeing in this situation fully, and how is it that they can come back together and repair?
So what I'm noticing in the beginning of their interaction is you can sense really big emotions. So I want you to put yourself in place of both of these people. Samantha, where was she, if you put yourself in her shoes, where would she kind of feel that emotion within herself? So this is her first level of awareness. Your body will let you know something is going on before your mind processes it. So maybe she wasn't first aware of her thoughts at that moment. She just knew what she felt. She felt a rise of an emotion for her.
I'm
You know what
putting
I mean?
myself in her shoes. I'm sitting here at the dinner table
Mhm.
having a magnificent time with my Texas Roadhouse dinner rolls, and someone's like, girl, you had one too many." I started looking sideways, and I think I feel it like right in here, the rise of
Mhm.
emotion, and I start feeling tense, and then I can see
Okay.
myself pulling back.
Yeah, that's called attunement when we are attuned to what our body is feeling, and then we have a connection with our thoughts. You can start recognizing I'm feeling upset about this situation.
Mhm.
So when you want to respond to something that's feeling negative within you,
Mhm.
then the next thing is to find out, okay, let me align myself with the thing that's making me feel this way so that I can do something about it. Both of these ladies, they went into protective mode during the conversation, the text message conversation.
Well, Vicky actually went to protective mode in her mind at the table because
Mhm.
she became aware too and noticed that something was off with Samantha, and then she
But she
began.
didn't know what.
She didn't know what, but then she was saying, "Hey, did if I offended her, then she would have said something."
Mhm.
Like, I think that's a
Mhm.
protective thought. Like, no, I'm fine. I didn't do anything. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's more like a defensive, deflective thought.
A deflective thought.
That's more like a deflective thought because she's trying to tell herself, I didn't do anything wrong. She tripping. And so she talked herself out of realizing that thinking that she did anything wrong. The next day though,
Mhm.
she finds out that she did hurt her friend's feelings,
Mhm.
but then she went into protective mode
Mhm.
and protecting herself and saying, you've been too sensitive,
Mm.
which didn't help. But she started doing that because of how Samantha may have approached the situation. Samantha allowed this to stew inside of her.
Mhm. Yeah.
And while it's stewing, she's coming up with all kind of other things in her mind to think against Vicky. Like she don't care about me. She would say something like that. She doesn't care. Is that true? They've been friends for I don't know how long. Does Vicky really not care? But Samantha mind went there because she didn't address it when she was feeling it in her body. She gave herself time to process it. Maybe that was a good thing, maybe not.
And Vicky's response didn't really help change Samantha's mind because Vicky did not instantly apologize.
Why do you think Vicky responded like that? What was going on in her body? What could she have been feeling at the time to make her just have an automatic response of you being too sensitive?
Because she was blindsided. I guess, like, instantly you're being accused of something that you thought that you were good. And you're like, no, I didn't do that. But if I saw my friend hurting from something that I said, I would hate to see them hurting. So I would apologize for, I didn't know you felt that way. I didn't know I did anything wrong. I think maybe some boundaries should have been put in place beforehand so that Vicky knew that that's not something she could say around other people.
So maybe this was the first time that Samantha decides to say something. Maybe it happened before, but Samantha never said anything about it. And guess what? It just kind of grew. Maybe she blew it off the last time it happened until it got to a point where, like, you know what? I think I'm going to finally say something about this because I need to set an emotional boundary right now because this is hurts when she does this. So I need to say something. Maybe this was the conversation that did that. You know how they said the straw that broke the camel's back?
Hmm.
Maybe this was the
Yeah.
one that did that. Right. So what would be the next step? Can they come back together? Right now they're separated and they're self-regulating. They've isolated each other from themselves and now they're not hanging out, they're not talking.
Yeah.
And you feel like you lost your friend. Like, oh
Yeah.
man, I always call her when I'm watching this episode. We always watch this episode together. I don't even feel right watching this episode without her.
So I have a friend, I'm not gonna say who, and I'll be like, "Hey, you still mad at me? You still mad? Are you still mad? Can I talk to you? If you still mad, fine. I'll call you back later." And then she'll be like, "You so crazy." If
So
you still
that's the
mad,
kind of connection that you have with this friend, right? Because you know what, you comfort each other. And that's called co-regulation, where you regulate each other together, and you can
Yeah,
sense that. And so I think part of it is a mutual respect, along with really good listening skills.
yeah.
And a word we used last time, my favorite word, validation. You
Validation.
have to validation, right? And I always say validation is not agreeing with what that person says. It's just listening to what they're saying and rephrasing it to where you can sympathize with them. You can understand where they may be coming from. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you agree with it. You have to use I statements when you're doing validation. You have to say, "Well, I feel disrespected." This is Samantha. I felt disrespected when you said all of that in front of the family.
Mhm.
And then Vicky would be like, "Well, I understand. I've contributed to you feeling disrespected. You felt disrespected when I did that in front of the family." You know,
Yeah.
it's actually acknowledging what that person is feeling. And when you acknowledge what someone feels, feel heard, they feel seen. But okay, you do understand. You are getting what I was feeling when that happened. So now I think we can probably talk and figure out what do we do next? Can we work on repairing this relationship? That's if the other person hears you. But if the other person is still like, well, look, you just being too sensitive, that
Sorry,
would
you
not be
got.
helpful.
I'm sorry you got your feelings hurt.
Yeah, no, you don't. That's not it. I'm sorry you feel that way, but you being too sensitive. That's not gonna work. So if that happens, say for instance, this actually happens, and Samantha is, I miss my friend. I'm gonna call my friend, see if we can work things out. And she calls her, and she literally says, "I don't know what your problem, but you're being too sensitive." You know what Samantha has to do at that point? They're both not in agreement to repair.
uh, no.
So Samantha needs to protect herself. She has to set that boundary at that time, at that point. This is necessary for her. She has to go into self preservation because if not, she's going to be fighting for something that can't be fought for
True.
until they both align, you know.
True.
Mm.
So I have a little repair scene that I'll read to you.
Okay, what happened? Okay.
Well, a few days later, Samantha reaches out again, calmer this time. And she said, "Look, I don't want to fight. I just need you to understand why that hurt." This time, Vicky actually listens, but she listens differently. "I
Okay.
didn't realize how exposed that made you feel," is what Vicky tells her. "I was
She
joking."
validated her.
Mhm. "I was
Okay.
joking, but I see how that landed." Then Samantha exhales and she's like, "That's why I reacted so strongly and I felt," oh, she's using these I feel statements. "I felt
She's
embarrassed."
using I, yes, her I statements. Okay.
And then Vicky responds, she says, "I'm sorry. I should have kept that private." And so then they returned back to this place where they feel kind of safe with each other, where
Mhm.
they're repairing. I think that's beautiful. And
That is very beautiful.
that's how a lot of friends should come back together, to listen and understand.
Mhm.
But but here's the piece. I guess we didn't talk about that yesterday, but we did just talk about that this recently, and it's the boundaries. And so moving forward, do you feel like they should set boundaries with each other so that they know how far they could take something or know if they could say something in front of other people?
Well, I think what they should do is become more in tune earlier with their feelings when something happens, and then speak about it and acknowledge each other's feelings. And so the more they practice this, the better attuned they will become, and these incidents will become less. So that requires for them to have emotional safety with each other. They're going to stay with you, allow you to express yourself, validate you, and that's what makes a safe place. But if that friend sees you coming and says, I know she's going to want to talk about XYZ and it's going to bring up a whole lot of stuff and I don't want to fight, I'm going to walk away. That's not emotional safety. It makes you even shut down more.
I feel like people misunderstand what it really means to be a friend. Or I guess I was talking with someone and we were talking about having different types of friends. And you have those really close friends, and then you have the friends where they're very shallow. It's like they're your friend, but you can't have what you just said, those conversations where, "Hey, this bothers me," or "Hey, I'm feeling this way," because they don't receive it. And then, a lot of times those relationships, because they're so shallow or they're not built on something deeper, they tend to
Hmm.
fall apart. But I'm just saying, I
And
just
and that's
noticed that.
okay. Yeah, and that's okay. And sometimes we have to just realize that some friends aren't as close as other friends, and we have to have friends do come in different um capacities, so to
Hmm.
speak, in your life, or maybe even for a season. Or or I have friends where I could talk to them twice a year, but the times we do talk, it's like we never missed a beat. And then I know that I can
Hmm.
still go to them and talk to them about anything that they would be there for me because this life happens. And then I have some people I talk to every day, and I may not even talk to them about some of the closest things that's bothering me the most because
Hmm.
I've already realized that probably can't handle all of my stuff. So I have to be careful with that as well. That's a different kind of friend. So we just have to know what kind of friends we have. So you don't take offense. And then you put people in those categories and then you know which category you can go to for what you need.
Yes, there's this saying I heard. I forgot the person who said it, but it had me snapping my fingers like, yes, yes. He said friends are like trees, are like parts of the tree. You have some friends that are like leaves. They're here today, they're gone tomorrow. You have friends that are
Mhm.
like branches. They're here for a season. Sometimes they break off. But then you have friends that are like the trunk and the roots, and they're not going
Mhm.
anywhere. And he says you need to
They
know that.
weather the storms. They
Yep.
weather the storms. Yeah. I use that scenario all the time. Yeah. I don't know who originally came up with that, but you know where I heard it from? I heard it from Medea. Look,
You know what?
that's where I heard it
That's
from.
probably where I heard it from. Hello.
Medea spit some lines sometimes. You know how she can
Hmm.
be.
Yeah.
But I've taken it and I've used it many times in my counseling sessions. So attunement starts by noticing the internal shift. So when a big emotion happens, you feel that internal shift and then your mind starts to process, okay, what's really going on? If you care, you'll start having that dialogue in your mind.
Hmm.
Then what happens? A big emotion happens, the nervous system is going to register and make you want to protest and pursue, like, let me get to the bottom of this, what I'm feeling. Or it's going to make you withdraw and say, you know what, I don't want any conflict. I'm just going to retreat from
Oh.
this. Okay. You don't allow that to stay between the two of you. So when that person says, hey, this is what's bothering me, and that other person acknowledges that, then that's validation, right? It's
Hmm.
been acknowledged, and then they can process, they can co-regulate, come back and say, "You know what? I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I didn't even know it impacted you that way." And that's a safe conversation to have. Okay.
So what if Vicky, let's say she validates her and says everything you said, I didn't know that that impacted you in that way, and I'm sorry. But what if that's not enough for Samantha and she just keeps going on and on? Well, you should have knew.
Okay. So
Then
now who
what,
needs to set an emotional boundary?
Vicky?
Vicky. Hopefully Vicky has not decided like, "You know what? Look, I tried to apologize to you." Because then that's a pattern,
Hmm.
and you want to break that cycle.
At this point, Vicky probably
So,
feeling you really are too sensitive. You really are too sensitive. Because I tried to apologize and you didn't even listen to that. You should have knew. You should have known. I'm like, what? So yeah, but what I'm seeing, it takes two to resolve this situation. One person can't just apologize. The other
mhm.
person has to accept that apology and move forward because if they don't accept it, then it can't go anywhere. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, someone has to ask for forgiveness in order to move on, and someone has to forgive. That's a
yeah.
whole nother podcast.
Yeah, well, this was great. This was great. I always enjoy our conversations, especially about this one, because this one hits home for many, many, many people. And it's really
Mhm.
tough for a lot of people to figure out how to navigate these type of conflicts with their loved ones. So, what is it that we could expect for our next episode?
I think we've chosen to talk about anxiety, right? We're gonna talk about how to regulate that emotion. We're talking about some of these topics is because we will be introducing two exciting journals, devotional type journals that will be available soon within a few weeks of this after this recording. One is called Don't Hang Up, which is centered around couples and relationships and very spiritually guided as well, along with therapeutic tools to help navigate the 30-day journal where you follow 4 couples each week. We're
Hmm.
really excited about that. We co-wrote that together. It's so excited. And then the other one is called Peace Over Panic, and I'm really
Mm,
excited about that. And I think we'll touch on things dealing with anxiety and how to take those thoughts captive
yeah,
and usher in peace in
yeah.
those situations. So I think that's what we'll focus on next.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait for us to release those. So we'll be releasing them March the 1st. So go ahead and you can visit our website at shop.branchesofhope.com. And I also have it linked on here. And you can go ahead and put in your email, and you would be the first person to know as soon as it drops. Please stay tuned and get your copy. Thank you so much for watching. We love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.